Good morning, everyone. Welcome to Fuel for Success, episode 166 on a Thursday morning. I love Thursday mornings. Well, I love Wednesday mornings and Friday mornings. But I'm excited that everybody's here with us on this Thursday morning. We're going to talk about business development and entrepreneurship and all those cool things. And got some cool stuff lined up for today. I'm glad everybody's here with us. This is a great show to watch if you're in, this is a great, Thursday is a great show to watch if you have a desire to, make a little extra cash, start a business, do some things. And I'm always excited and thrilled to see some of the testimonies from our folks that watch the show and they've gone and started things and they're, building businesses and those sort of things. So it's great to hear that. We'd love to have you go ahead and send those in. Email them to me, mike@mattmaddox.com. Matt and I read all of those, and we may not reply to all of them because we get a lot of email and a lot of stuff. We try to, but it's great to hear those reports from everybody. So keep them coming. It's encouraging to us, and it's good feedback. So how are you doing this morning, my good man?
All is well, my friend. Let me teach you. When you don't know what to say in life, just say all is well or God is good.
That's good.
All is well. I'm blessed. I'm happy to be alive. I'm looking forward to today's show. Looking forward to the topic that we're going to be covering today about employee engagement. Very important in the life of an entrepreneur because this is your business that you're starting from the ground up. This is your baby. Who you hire matters and who you have around you matters. Your supporting cast, your frontline people, the people that represent your brand, your product, people that are selling your service. Like, you've got to make sure that you hire right, and you need to know how to keep your employees engaged, keep them pumped and motivated and happy. So looking forward to that subject, Mike. And, of course, today is one of our favorite shows. Mike and I are all about business and entrepreneurship. We don't know it all. We're learning as we go as well. True. But as we learn, we're going to pass along the lessons that we learn. I love what Al said, pay them good. That's actually a very good motivator, but it's not the top.
No.
It is a big one. But anyways, here's the deal, my friend. Anybody out there can have success in business if they really love what they do. And that's what entrepreneurship is all about. It's about leaving the 9-to-5 to do what you love. It's about being willing to live in a box apartment or the back of your mom's house or the garage or even your car. Literally, that's the life of an entrepreneur. Is they do what they love and they do what they believe in and don't worry about the money, even though they got bills to pay. Somehow they just know that what they believe in and what they're doing is going to yield cash, and it's gonna break through. But anyways, a lot to cover when it comes to business and entrepreneurship. I see we got a hat on backwards day today.
Execution mode, man. I got 27 hours of work to do in the next 12 hours, so somehow or other I got to get her done. I was thinking as you were saying all that about business development, I think I'm rubbing off on my son a little bit. And we're moving here at the end of the month. We were looking at places to move, and we looked at this house with this beautiful garage. It was a 2.5 car garage. It was a deep garage with nice shelves and stuff. We opened the garage, and my son just stands there and looks at it and says, I could start like 2 businesses out of this garage. It's the first thing he thought. He's like, man, with this space and all these, and he's a very mechanical person, and so that's sort of the way he thinks about things in a lot of physical sense. I'm more of a technology person, so I see some new technology, like, man, I could start a business with that. But anyways, rubbing off on him.
Speaking of your son, John, who's a great kid, who I love, dude, Mike, breaking news. Last night I talked to him on the phone a few minutes. You know me. I say love you after every conversation. I mean, I'll say love you to anybody, right? And for years, I've been like, love you, John. He'll be like, yeah, okay, bye. Last night when I said love you, buddy, he said love you too. I was like, what? John just said love you. I mean, this is like breaking news, man,
ground.
So I must have won him over this last weekend, man.
Well, John's the kind of guy that he always loved you, but he just doesn't necessarily verbalize it. I got to. Did I tell you did I say the train story on here on the show ever? I know this is business development, but I got to share this. So
It's funny.
I take John to the train. He's taking the Amtrak up to see his girlfriend. This is right around Christmas time of 2013, and we're standing there waiting. He's going to go first time, like he's going away for a week, stay with his girlfriend's parents, stay up there and see her. And I'm like, okay. Then he's got his suitcase. I take him, I hang out with him, and we're chatting and whatever. And they do the call for the train, and I'm thinking, it's going to be this like goodbye, this night like moment. And he's like, all right, see ya. Grabs his suitcase and walks off. I'm like, whoop.
I would have tackled him. I would have went and jumped on his back, kissed all over his cheek in front of everyone, just to spite. That's funny. That makes me laugh. Yeah, you're like,
see ya.
I can so see John doing that.
That's exactly what he did, man. It was hilarious.
I told John, these are the best days of your life. I envy him, dude. These are the best days of his life. His girlfriend lives 3 hours away. They're catching the train to see each other. They're just, they're kids, man. These are the best days of their lives, man. I kept telling them that.
It's great. And it's true. It's true. Well, whatever days you're in, enjoy your days. Right?
Well, these are the best days of my life.
Amen. Hey, so let's get to our topic. Let's get to it.
Actually get better as I get older.
Oh, yeah.
I'm one of the few people, the older I get, the better I get. I have the reverse. Usually when people get older, they slow down, they get uglier. I get better looking, and I speed up. So it's good for me.
Well, then that means we're eventually going to diverge, my friend, because I was playing wiffle ball or kickball yesterday at Community Connection, and I'm not speeding up. Just so you know.
Well, you are a grandpa, so
not yet.
That's a whole other subject. That's Friday's subject.
Not yet. Hey, let's get to it.
There you go, Al.
What else, eh? Yeah, all right, whatever. So
let's do it. I've been waiting for the topic for 7 minutes and 25 seconds.
Listen, not every business requires employees, but a lot of them do. And some of our viewers may start sole proprietorships that never need another employee, and some of them,
which is the best,
which is a good route to go because it's expensive to have employees, especially in today's taxation world. But in some cases, it's unavoidable, and in some cases, it's really the best thing for the business. And I would even take this as far as to say, like consistent subcontractors would almost fall under the same category, whether they're by law employees or not. There's somebody that's working for you. So the question really, when you start a business, you're passionate about it, it's something you want to do, and you're, innately, naturally motivated to do it and to stay engaged. But when you hire employees, how do you keep your employees engaged?
That's a good conversation for business, because this is a show about entrepreneurship and business. So there's already established businesses out there that have employees. So we like to cover all topics. We don't just talk about startup businesses, but also want to help people that are, have established businesses and they do have managers and, secretaries and administrators and salespeople and people working for them. I think, Mike, almost everything in life starts with list making. I really do. I think that every person that is wise. Okay, you ready for this? Like, I literally made a list of what the dream dad would look like. Like, for me to be classified as the dream dad, like for Caleb to literally believe that I'm the best dad in the world, what actions would I need to do? So, like, I think bosses or business owners should ask the same question. Like, forget about motivating employees for a minute. I really believe, Mike, like, what kind of person are you? Like, I once had a boss that I worked for, and I'm going to be brutally honest here. He was horrible at employee engagement. And he used to think because he paid good money that everybody was happy, but nobody was. And he used to literally say the words, man, I would love to have a job working for me. And after like 20 times, finally I sat down with him and I said, you know something, I got to tell you. You really wouldn't like a job working for you because it borderline leads people to suicide. Like it was a straight talk, right?
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, you know, you've got to sit down as a boss, a manager, a business owner, and you've got to, first thing you have to do is lay aside your ego. And you've got to say, okay, yes, these people work for me, but you don't ever want them, most business owners and managers and high-level executives, they don't have personal touch. They're not in touch with the grassroots. They're not in touch with their employees. They don't really listen to them. You want to know how to get employee engagement? Sit down and listen to your employees and ask them, what can I do to make your job easier and better? Like that alone would make them want to like work until 4 a.m. for you. Like if they feel heard. Mike, what I've learned in all relationships is the problem starts to happen when people don't feel heard. And when employees feel like they're busting their lives, working hard and sacrificing and sweating, and many of them, because they're talented. See, the trick is to keep talented people because talent doesn't settle for status quo or average. Talented people are not going to put up with you demeaning them and talking down to them and ignoring them when you walk it by. Talented people are like, and now in this day and age, you can get a job or you can go start a business or you can, you got the internet. I mean, there's so much opportunity that like, if you have good employees, I think it starts with just the basics of respect, Mike, and showing respect and realizing these people have families, these people are mothers, these people are fathers, these people have human hearts, they have emotions, they have desires. Be a strict boss, like demand perfection, demand that they get the job done, but don't be an ego, harsh, selfish person. When they want to take a vacation, you make them feel guilty for it, or they need a day off. Like maybe their kid is registering at school and, to give them the day off and bless them. Like, hey, don't make it to where, you give them the day off, but you got to spend 20 minutes explaining how, it's just, I see too many leaders that are just jerks. You ready for this? Go get a t-shirt that says, don't be a jerk. Like if you just focus on not being a jerk, you're going to be able to engage your employees more. I think it all goes back to regular communication, Mike. I think it goes back to listening. I think it goes back to personal touch. I think it goes back to encouragement. What's wrong with you walking out to your employees and saying, man, you are doing amazing. You're doing incredible. Like, they need to be hearing that kind of stuff. You want to talk about motivation. We said earlier that most people think that money motivates.
Yeah.
In reality, money doesn't motivate, my friend. Money is only like third or fourth on down the list. But one of the number one motivators is people want to feel appreciated. So if your people don't feel appreciated, they're not going to be motivated. I've learned, Mike, when you make people feel appreciated for what they do, they'll break their back for you.
True.
They will go to any lengths to make you happy, to please you. So I just think that anybody that's a leader, a boss, a manager, we all need to work on this. Sometimes we get so busy with the vision and we're going that we forget to slow down and really look people in the eye and say, you know what, you really did an amazing job. You really were a blessing. Brag on people in front of others. Don't be afraid to, like, when you have that staff meeting, to brag on the high performers. Brag on the ones that are hitting their sales goals and blowing it up, I just think, Mike, whenever you start getting sarcastic and demeaning and harsh and you start doing these kinds of things to people, I just think at the end of the day, my friend, that you're not going to keep people engaged. Now, they might still work. They might still do the job, but they're not going to do it with excellence. You don't want them rolling their eyes when customers ask them how they're doing, or, hey, like I'll ask them sometimes, how do you enjoy working here? You don't want them saying, it's a job. You want them smiling, lighting up, and saying, this is the best job in the world. I've never one time never one time, hear me? Never one time have walked into the Apple store and talked to an employee that said they hated working at Apple. Like, they light up, they love it. Many of them take pay cuts. Many of them live in smaller places. Like, that's the kind of companies you should be studying. You want to talk about employee engagement. Pretty much the same thing with Starbucks. Pretty much the same thing with Disney World. Pretty much the same thing with Chick-fil-A. And if you study these businesses, most of them, they're high quality. Their management style's high quality. The way they treat people. Okay, here's another business to study. Southwest Airlines. They're unbelievable at the way they treat their employees. Like, they have an employee-first mentality. Like, they even have an employee-first over the customer mentality, which is a new way of thinking, or it's kind of an out-of-the-box way of thinking. But I really believe in these principles, my friend.
You know, I was going to mention too, as from an employee standpoint, I can think of two jobs that I've had that both of them had good employee engagement, one a little bit better than the other. And I can even name names. You know what? I'm going to name names. I worked for a company called Orbotech, which was an Israeli company for about 8 years. And they were, without question, the finest company I've ever worked for. And we literally had an annual get-together where they would take all the families every year to like a resort for a 4-day weekend. They'd shut down the offices. Everybody goes for a 4-day weekend. And one of the main things, one of the main highlights of that weekend was an awards ceremony where they would hand out awards to employees. And I have like plaques and little statues and stuff of awards that I won. And they did compensate well. They did give, cash bonuses and all kinds of good stuff like that. But everyone looked forward to the award ceremonies, and everybody had their awards in their offices, and it was a very big thing. They really appreciated employees, and they had the most engaged employees. To this day, they still have the most engaged employees I've ever seen. So, and another one that I worked at that was a great company. I actually just left because the technical work was so dull. But I worked for Wells Fargo for a year as like an architect, and they did a great job. But their mindset was a little bit different. I think it was because of the scale of it. They gave cash bonuses a lot, so everybody was their motivation was more towards the cash, so it wasn't as engaged as at Orbotech, right? So my point is that, and I left that job even though it was an extremely well-paying job, simply because I wasn't engaged because the work was frankly dull. So that's the end of that.
That's actually a good analogy. That's a good analogy.
Hey, Tommy asked a great question. I want to pop this one up here real quick. How far do you go to only hire and retain employees that are motivated and engaged? That's a pretty broad question, depending on the business, but what are your thoughts on that, Matt?
I think if they're valuable to you, they're loyal, they bring you results. If you get somebody that brings you results, go to any length to keep them within reason, obviously, but if, like I said, it all depends. If they're loyal and they're faithful and they're honest and they have integrity and they produce results, at the end of the day, Tommy, go to any lengths to keep them, in your business. Now, you got to understand that when you get great people, sometimes they do move on because they're ambitious. They want to start their own. They want to go higher. And maybe your business structure, literally, they've gone as high as they go. The dangerous place is having business structures where there's a lid, because people that excel, like the Bible says this, a man's gift makes room for him and bringeth him before kings. You say, well, why do we not see more mastery in the world? Because most people don't function within the realm of their gift, like their gift. Like, I have a gift. Mike has a gift. Tommy, you have a gift. You have a God-given gift that if you would hone in on that gift and do nothing else and master that gift, it literally would bring you before the world. The Bible says it bring you before kings. So you got to understand, people that excel, people that they have the Midas touch. Like, you can just tell the mark of greatness is on their life. Most likely you'll only be able to keep them as long as you can. So enjoy that season and continuously ask them to be training somebody else, because it's inevitable. Great people usually move on, especially if they outgrow the business owner. I love you, friends, but if you stop growing, you're done. Because the number one thing you've got to be doing as a leader is growing, because the people are on your trail. And when somebody outgrows the leader, there creates this friction, and there's no ill feelings involved in this friction. There's no it's just one of those things where it just isn't going to work. It's just not going to work because they've outgrown you. They've outgrown the structure. They've outgrown the model. They broke the lid. Like your business structure only allows them to go here, and they got here in like 2 years, and they're like here is boring them to death. Like, you got to understand, talking about keeping people engaged. Even people that are making $200,000, $300,000, $400,000 a year, and they have mastered what they do, you got to be careful because many of them get bored. People of excellence, people that have passion, real passion, you just got to understand they're most likely going to get bored, and that's why you've got to continuously make sure that you're growing and give them opportunities for growth themselves. That's a whole nother subject right there, Mike.
It's good. Couple of things Al mentioned about firing employees, and he said that he pays his employees well, but if they don't do their job, he fires them immediately. And that reminds me of something I heard Gary Vee say when he was talking about building VaynerMedia, which is a media corporation out of New York City. And he said that somebody asked him, how do you refine your hiring process? And he's like, I don't really. He says, I just hire people that look talented, and then I give them a period of time, and if they don't work out, I get rid of them. And I worked for a company, Prometheus Research, which was also a good company to work for. We were doing a grant thing there for a while, and they were very quick to fire people that didn't work out, and they ended up with a very talented workforce because of it. And I think a lot of companies are way too hesitant to get rid of people that aren't productive, and there's a lot of reasons for that, but I think that's a mistake. So.
Yeah, there's no question about it. That firing right is as important as hiring right. Like, the right fire could mean your business quadrupling. The right person, listen, you ready for this? Some person that would be failing in your business may explode in another business. Mm-hmm. Like, I've grown to learn, Mike, some things just don't fit. It's just one of those things where what someone it may not be working out in this particular business or this particular environment. You put them in a different one, and it's like, whoa, where did they come from? And that's just something that comes with maturity, of you understanding that if people don't love what they do, there's only so many tricks of motivation, my friends. Right. You can't motivate somebody to do something they don't want to do. Because one thing I've learned about humanity is all of them will find ways to do what they really want to do. And if they really don't want, if they really don't want to work for you, you're better off letting them go. I mean, it's called making the tough call. Right. Sometimes it's not easy, but at the end of the day, I've had some experience of having to let some people go, and it's not easy, man. It's not easy at all. I mean, it is not easy. But at the end of the day, you've always got to do what's best for, first, your business. I mean, obviously your family, but, first your business. You got to do what's best for them. Sometimes you keeping them, even though they're getting a paycheck, you're doing them an injustice, and you're actually not helping them with their success. And really, at the end of the day, it's about caring for people. It's about loving people enough to say, I love you enough to let you go because this job is not meant for you. Now, I could keep giving you a paycheck, and you could probably keep at least, you don't want to hire anybody that's going to do their job. Like, anybody you can hire off the street to do the job. You want people that are creative, innovative. You want people that go the extra mile. You want people that when you give them a job, not only they do it and then some. They do it above and beyond. They do it with such excellence. You want it done in 4 days, they get it done in 2 days. Those are the type of people that you want working for you in the first place. So if you got somebody on your staff that just gets the job done, you're better off letting them go, because you can get those all day long. I mean, people need money. People will come and get the job done and do what you ask them to do. You want people that do what you ask them to do and do the things you don't ask them to do. They just see it, they get it, and they get it done.
Yeah. Hey, Tommy mentioned that works for a company that goes through the motions of engaging employees, but it's not genuine. And I think, and I don't know how big the company is that you work for, Tommy, but I think one of the real challenges to employee engagement is scale. Something that works, a process that works really well with engaging employees when there's 10 people working for the company, clearly won't work when there's 10,000 people in the company. And larger corporations, of course, have a very challenging time trying to keep employees engaged, and it's difficult. And I think it's all about when it comes down to that, it comes down to vision. And I think about, if you remember back in the 80s, I guess it was, or maybe the early 90s, when General Motors did a bit of an experiment with Saturn Motors, and because GM was such a large corporation, they started like a little spin-off branch that was Saturn, and they changed the vision and they changed the way they did stuff. Made a lot of noise in the industry. Ultimately, didn't succeed long term, but it was successful for a while. And they understood that scalability of employee engagement was a challenge, and they were basically doing sort of an experiment in that term. So I don't know if you remember back then, it was like Saturn, a different kind of company, right? And their sale, I remember their commercials didn't even like show the car; it showed the people. And you're like, what do? Oh, they make cars. But they didn't even that wasn't their marketing thing. They were talking about the people. And it was powerful, and they sold a ton of cars for a while. I think ultimately that was at the same time they were fighting the import crunch. So, but anyway, that's another topic entirely.
That's very powerful. I love what Pacey said. She said, I got fired once, and if I could go back and say thank you. It catapulted me to the next level. Hey, I read a book one time called I Got Fired, and in quotations it says, and it was the best thing that ever happened to me. If we knew the amount of unbelievably successful people that once got fired, that once got told that they suck, they wouldn't amount to anything, they're no good, it would literally, we could name right now 20 people that got fired, or that just, that literally just like, I remember watching Oprah's story. She was just one day, just a normal news anchor in Baltimore, Maryland. And she said that she would have never grown, she would have never become who she is today if she didn't quit her job in Maryland and move to Chicago. And she said she didn't even know why. She just knew that it was time to move on. She had outgrown her environment, and she went from Baltimore to Chicago, and that's where Oprah got her big explosion. Like, they actually got homeless people to come off the street into their audience just to look like they had an audience when they first started in the Oprah show back in the day. You think about that. You think about the fact that Oprah Winfrey had to get homeless people off the street to come sit so it looked like she had an audience. Hang in there, my friends. It'll get better.
Sorry, my gears are turning now. Anyway.
Oh, exactly.
Yeah, hey, I've been fired. It was okay. I'm okay now. That happens. Just read.
I've been fired and I've quit. I've quit many a job.
So
I just said, you know what? I'm out.
Yeah, me too. In
fact, most entrepreneurs do quit. Most entrepreneurs are like, I can do this better. Like, this is a waste of my time. This ain't worth $20 an hour. You know what I mean? This ain't worth, you know what I mean? Most entrepreneurs, they're like 2 days in and they're like, what? I'm not giving up 40 hours of my week for this when I could be working on my business and my dream. There it is. My girl, Karen, is good at researching the books for us.
Yeah.
Well, we're out of time, but the good news is Mike and I are here every morning at 9 a.m. Eastern Standard Time for Fuel for Success. Guys are always welcome to go watch the archives. They're free. You go to fuelforsuccess.tv. Also, you can go to iTunes and subscribe to our podcast. That way, every time we do a show, it shows up on your phone. Every time. So we love you guys. We believe in you. We appreciate you. And we'll see you tomorrow morning at 9 a.m. for our show about family and relationships. What are we going to talk about tomorrow, Mike, with family and relationships?
We'll talk about family and relationships. Let me check.
Nice. Great answer. Great answer, my friend. Let's try to avoid the dating topic for one show. Could we?
Probably not. We'll try. Yeah, I know that.
God bless y'all with me. What, Mike?
I said, yeah, dating topic bores me. I'm like, yeah, whatever. Let's move on.
Mike's like, I haven't done that in 35 years since me and Carol were 20.
35 years. Hey, we're going to talk about teenagers. That's what we're going to talk about.
Ooh, teens. I know my son is looking like a teenager more and more, and he's acting like one. I'm like, don't act like a teenager.
It's inevitable, my friend. All right. Hey, make the most of your Thursday. We'll see you all tomorrow. God bless you.